Hello, everybody. It's Sufit here. I'm here today with Charles B. Ticker, who's a mediator specializing in estate mediation. Today, Charles is going to share with us the three magic questions that can break a logjam, that can help with an impasse in your mediation. So, Charles, first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right, so let's jump right into it. These are questions that are going to come from a mediator, a good mediator. What would you say is the first question that a mediator can ask that can help break an impasse? Yeah.
What usually happens rather during a mediation is when you're getting down to the later on in the day where offers are being exchanged and the positions are getting a little more firm in terms of what the parties are prepared to offer, and the movements are getting a little smaller in terms of how much they're prepared to offer. The litigants quite often have difficulty when they know it's near the end and they got to make some tough decisions, and they're mulling over that last offer, which may or may not be a final offer. And you leave it with them and their lawyer, and you leave the room, and you're waiting for their response. And it could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And if it's going on for a while, sometimes I'll check in with the lawyer and say, how's it going? He says, oh, we need some more time. And okay, you don't want to put too much pressure on them at that point. But then you wait another maybe 10, 15 minutes and say, this is sort of dragging. And obviously they're having some difficulties. So what I'll do, and what I find is very effective, is I'll just sort of go back in the room and say, it's been some time, how can I help you? You seem to be—
What a great question. What a great question.
Yeah, you seem to be, struggling with this. How can I help you? And they're just looking to bounce off some thoughts and some ideas off you. So I find that's very helpful by offering your help as a mediator to be a sounding board and sort of help them work through the thought process and come to a decision as to how they want to respond, and maybe even sometimes come up with a somewhat different solution that may solve the problem and settle the case. So I find that's a very effective question.
Charles, one of the reasons, sorry to interrupt you, but one of the reasons that I think that that's such a good question is because, court litigation is an adversarial process. And even though mediation is not supposed to be that, it can often feel that way as well, right? The parties are there with their lawyers. It can feel adversarial. And one really wonders, like, who's here for me, who's on my side other than my lawyer? And the fact that you come in and you say, how can I help you? I think it would probably give them an emotional response, right? This is not just about logic, yes?
Right. Well, yeah, because they are struggling. These estate disputes are very emotional, and so basically they're screaming out for help, even though they may not verbalize that. And the opposite of like the type of question not to ask you is not to come in there and say, "What the heck's taking you so long? This is a simple matter. What's your problem?" I mean, obviously, at that point, you've lost them. And I've seen other mediators in which I've been counsel do that. It's been a long day and they've lost patience. So, as a mediator, you got to be patient, you got to be calm, and you have to have the party's trust and confidence. And how do you do that? By befriending them. How can I help you?
Yeah, which is not to say, I guess, that you would never weigh in with your opinion. I mean, what do you say about that? I mean, we're a little off topic, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Would you ever weigh in with, what you think, or no?
Yes, well, and I give the parties a heads up actually at the beginning. I tell them my style is not to weigh in. Some mediators are very evaluative and they'll weigh in with their opinion, like right in the first session. That's not my style. I'm there I see myself as being a facilitator to help the parties along. But I do tell everyone at the beginning of the day, if towards the end of the day I sense that we're within striking distance of a settlement and people are digging their feet in or having some trouble, I'll weigh in with a little, pressure on both sides to push. But before I do that, I really want to help the parties work through it on their own, and if need be, and if they ask my opinion, once again, I don't like to give my opinion, but another question, if I could mention another question that I'll use is, how does tomorrow look to you if you don't settle?
Okay,
Because
so that's
people,
magic question. Sorry to interrupt you again, but just to mark this for our audience, we're now moving to magic question number 2 that can break a log jam. Take it away, Charles.
yeah, so how does tomorrow look to you if you don't settle? Because the parties they're really caught up in the negotiation. They're really still really enthralled with their case, and they're still thinking, I got a great case, and the judge is going to buy my side of the story. But I say, take a moment. You don't settle today. Now it's a great time to settle because everybody's here. This is what we're here for. So how does tomorrow look to you if you don't settle? What's it gonna, and then say, tomorrow is going to mean you're still involved with this case and you're still involved with paying lawyers. And by the way, court ain't going to be for a year or 2 years away. And then maybe there's going to be an appeal. So how does tomorrow look when you start thinking about this? That I had this chance to settle and I was sort of sitting on the fence but did you really think about tomorrow? Like what the alternative is to settling, and so I find
Does
that's a
that
very
does that
effective
question
question.
does that question sometimes lead to a settlement?
I find it a very effective question because it gets people to focus on what is, what is your best alternative if you don't settle, or what's your worst
Right,
alternative if you don't settle
right,
to a negotiated
right.
settlement, okay? So basically it forces them to think about tomorrow. What does tomorrow
All
look
right,
like? Oh my God, I'm back at square one. I got to go again with the lawyers, got to go again with the motions and the discoveries. Think about it. Think what tomorrow
which
looks like.
brings us smoothly and with a lot of finesse to question number 3. What's the third magic question that we'll close off today with, Charles?
The third magic question that I typically use is, how would it feel to get your life back
Wow.
by settling this case? Because I'll say this once again in my open remarks. I have people tell me that state litigation, it's not only the financial costs, it's the emotional costs. I can't sleep, I can't eat, my hair's falling out. I've had clients say to me that they're getting boils and rashes. I'm not making this up. And why? It's because of the stress. And surprisingly, parties will admit to me in caucus, yeah, this is causing me a lot of stress. I really want to get my life back. And so I'll come back to it later in the day and say, how would it feel to get your life back? Is it
All
worth the
right.
extra $10,000? Is it worth the extra $50,000? You
That's an
know,
awesome question. Yeah.
so it gets people to refocus on what's really important to them. And yes, money's important. Um, and maybe getting even with your sibling they think it's important, but when they start realizing that it's also eating at them. So what's it like to get your life back? What would it be like to have good times with your own family and your kids and going out and doing things that you enjoy and not having to be stuck in the middle of this case? It's
That's
it's
very
it's
important.
just a way to get people to change their mindset um,
Yes,
and focus on and realizing that the settlement, I tell them, it's never going to be perfect because life isn't perfect and life isn't fair. But there is a real positive outcome if you settle the case, and that is getting your life back.
that's a great question, Charles. And actually, there were 3 very good questions. I'm just going to reiterate them. Number 1, how can I help you? Number 2, what's tomorrow going to look like if you don't settle? And number 3, wouldn't it feel great to get your life back? What a great set of questions. Thank you very much, Charles. Charles B. Ticker is a mediator specializing in estate mediation. Make sure you come back for our next video.
Thanks very much.